he looked to have that stage in the bag until he was ambushed at the death by Pro, who's been distanced on the mountain, albeit a brave resilience from the young rider from Declining Quickstep. One wonders how far behind he is at this point. Well, I think it is that rising right, because this is a searing pace at the front. And dispenses with that bottle. Great job to get back into contention here. Valerio still in thought. He's any finessing between these lead riders, and the likes of Valerio Conti might just be tempted to take their chance, albeit I suspect he could well be a little bit out of his wheels after what's been a really, really tough day of racing. Will Bauke Mollema be tempted into one of those long-range attacks as well? One wonders whether a finishing sprint is something that he's looking forward to here.
Well, we know that after yesterday that Primož Roglič,
one of the other teams represented individually by Egan Bernal, Nairo Mollema and Valerio Conti respectively, as they ride along. Inside 5 kilometers remaining on the ride to Valencia, to showcase these unusual times. Maybe not quite so many visitors are welcome, but it's a popular destination, of course, for the people of France. We look forward to times, hopefully not too far in the future, when we can all head to this part of the world.
we chat there between Roglič and Kruijswijk. I think they'll be trying to determine what really happens, whether Roglič is said to Kruijswijk maybe he needs to kind of have another dig. And then because Castroviejo's not, Bernal will have to come to the front. But I think that Jumbovisma, they cannot just kind of drag all these riders in towards the finish. They have to start with a numerical advantage. They have to start the 1-2.
Egan Bernal's jersey showing the effects of the battle today as salt deposits indicate that I think he's going to be quite a lot less on the scales after this one than he was at the outset today, for all that they continue to rehydrate with the bottles supplied by the team out on the road and from the team car. Bauke Mollema to the Dutchman in this group. Kruijswijk, his teammates.
In a stage like that, they'll probably, everybody's different and everybody's, different sizes, but from, working with the team at the Tour de France, a typical Tour de France stage, they can lose between, 3 and 4 kilograms in a stage. Difficult to keep hydrated in a race like this, and you see the salt deposits, but yeah, most of them, maybe Quintana a little bit less because he's somewhat smaller, same with Bernal, but yeah, on average the about 3 to 4 kilograms a bit, losing the most.
Find their luck to get out clear, and it's such a headache there with those 3 Jumbo-Visma riders. The other 4 are waiting for one of those other 4 to do the first attack, and that's what can also often lead to a bit of a stalemate before you actually get to the sprint. Bernal, Quintana, Mollema, Conti, they all want at least one of those to do the first attack, don't they?
I'm not too happy, I think, with it now riding on the front with Bennett. They're happy to keep it together, and that's maybe what they were talking about. Roglič was talking about it's a slightly uphill finish, and maybe Roglič is happy just to take it to a sprint and try to take the victory.
But Castroviejo has been picked up by this group, including Almeida. Hurt, as I've mentioned, is that Herrada for the Cofidis squad is latched on. We would have expected good things from the Spanish rider, but these riders up front surely battling for stage success at this point. Showing at 20 seconds, it's not inconceivable with 3 kilometers remaining that group could get back on, and that would be absolutely fascinating stuff. So just 20 seconds to this group behind. Herrada goes on the charge, and Conti's there as well. As I mentioned, Almeida and Jonathan Castroviejo will not be contributing here, unless, of course, the Itineo squad would like him to get back up. But I think they won't be thinking about him helping to drag all those other riders into contention. But can they get back on?
Well, that's the reason why. We didn't have that information that they were closing in, and that's the reason why Jumbovisma can't go on the attack. They can't slow down at all and start to play the canal 1-2. That's why they've been forced to go to the front to ride, and I think that's what Roglic was talking to Kruijswijk about. They are committed. They don't want any of these riders coming back to the front of the race, so the onus now is in Jumbo-Visma to keep this rolling along at a good tempo. So that's why Kruijswijk has been come to the front with Job Bennett. The two of them will ride all the way and try and pave the way for Primož Roglic to take the sprint, because they don't want this group coming back to them at all.
This is going to be incredibly tight, isn't it? 2.5 kilometres remaining. Make that 2 kilometres according to the sign on the side of the road. Not a whole lot in it. It's down to 12 seconds. There's nobody shirking in that group behind, with the possible exception of Jonathan Castrovillo. Meanwhile, it's a two-up-time trial up front for these Team Jumbo-Visma riders. George Bennett and Stefan Kruijswijk, both of whom have huge contributions already today. I don't think the guys behind have been wanting in their effort either, toiling in the sunshine quite a way behind the leaders over the top of that previous climb, but they want to get back in here. And the fascinating conclusion, bit of a cliffhanger, and for all that there aren't huge crowds out on the road, which is of course as we want it these days in a slight result, it is still thrilling stuff. We bring them to you from Eurosport GCN, and is Primož Roglic that would be starting the warmest of favourites if it does come down to a sprint finish between this group of 6, or will it be an expanded group? Showing it 12 seconds, I think that gap could even be slightly smaller than that at this point. Inside 2 to go, something has to happen.
Yeah, they've started the 1-2 now, getting close to the finish now. George Bennett did put a dig in there, and just Kruijswijk went. So Kruijswijk going on the attack, but if they start looking at each other and playing around, I think, like I said before, the onus now is in Primož Roglic. He has to try and do something, but Kruijswijk propped on the front. This gap, these riders behind can still come back, but the 3 behind, Quintana, Mollema and Conte, they're just waiting for a wee bit of a lull in the action, possibly to the final sprint, because it does kind of go uphill. We'll get this slight downhill before we start rising up towards the finish. You can see the kilometre to go. Everybody's looking at each other, starting to get tense. Bernal looking behind. Is this group going to catch them inside the last kilometre? An exciting finish.
It's going to be a real cliffhanger, isn't it? Kruijswijk has lead-out duties. He knows what he's got to do. Running the kite with 1 kilometre remaining on this second stage of Tour de l'Ain. Valerio Conti watches with interest. Has he got the legs for a sprint finish in front of him? Bauke Mollema has to try something extraordinary. So too Nairo Quintana, who has got a useful finish from a small group. We've seen it in the past. But Primož Roglic, probably the warmest of favourites. He found a useful situation, hasn't he? He's managed to put Egan Bernal between himself and his teammate Stefan Kruijswijk on the front. Where's that behind? Still the camera motorcycle is in between the leaders and the group that are chasing behind, so they're not quite in contention. Looks like we're going to have a 6-up gallop for the win, and Stefan Kruijswijk tries to find some more strength. Egan Bernal tries to lay off the back of Kruijswijk and is alive to the danger from Quintana, and more particularly from Primož Roglic. Who's going to go first? Kruijswijk's trying to wind this one up to the point where virtually no one's able to produce a finish. A little bit of a ramp up to the finish as we take it into the finish in Lelex, stage 2 of Tour de l'Ain. As Primož Roglic waits to go, Bauke Mollema, did he put a foot out? Missed a gear or something. He tried to launch first. Primož Roglic over the top of Egan Bernal, going to the line. Remus for this one on behalf of the Team Jumbo-Visma squad. All too easy at the end. What a show of strength. It is the stage success that he came for, ahead of Bernal and Mollema, who'll be disappointed, or be actually Bauke Mollema behind as he's overhauled by the other riders. And what a situation, what a fantastic stage success for Primož Roglic of the Team Jumbo-Visma squad. Denied at the death yesterday, but he made no mistake today and delivered after what was a consummate team performance.
That was really impressive from Jumbo-Visma.